Imagine holding a simple yellow wooden pencil in your hand, just a standard pencil. Now, what if I told you that not a single human being on the face of the earth, not even like the CEO of the company that sells it, actually knows how to make it from scratch?
It sounds completely impossible, right?
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah, it's wild. Anyway, welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really fascinating stack of sources on the table today, and we are going to completely change how you see the world around you.
We really are. The sources today are just incredible.
Right. So we're looking at a classic 1958 economic essay titled I, Pencil by Leonard E. Read, alongside a modern playbook for the FIRE movement that's financial independence, retire early.
And tying those two totally different ideas together is this synthesizing essay on the invisible architecture of human synchronization.
Exactly. Our mission today is to uncover this hidden, almost miraculous web of human cooperation that builds our modern world. And then we're going to figure out how you, listening right now, can plug into that exact same network to literally buy back your own time and freedom.
It's a huge shift in perspective.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this, because before we even talk about money or stock markets or early retirement, we have to look at the invisible architecture of trust that surrounds you every single day.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really begins with a profound social synchronization that, honestly, we are completely blind to.
Totally blind to it.
Yeah. The sources offer this brilliant thought experiment. So picture yourself driving down the highway on a blistering 100-degree summer afternoon. Outside, it is absolutely sweltering.
Oh, miserable.
But inside your car cabin, you are perfectly comfortable. You're being blasted by cold air. We take that completely for granted.
Oh, 100%. We just turn the dial and expect it.
Exactly. But the reality is you are cool right then because some stranger, likely thousands of miles away, dedicated decades of their life to understanding thermodynamics and perfecting that automotive air conditioning system.
And you, sitting there in the driver's seat, you get to afford that incredible comfort because you provide a totally different, hyper-specialized value to society.
Right.
Let's say you're an English teacher. You spend your days educating middle schoolers. You needed a reliable car with AC, so you bought it.
And the HVAC engineer who designed that system, well, they needed someone to educate their kids.
Yes. So they indirectly paid for your services. It's like we are all playing the ultimate massively multiplayer co-op game, but almost none of the players actually realize they're on the same team.
I love that analogy. It's the ultimate division of labor. When individuals specialize in what they do best, society as a whole achieves maximum efficiency.
Yeah, but it's more than just a financial transaction, right?
It is. What the synthesizing essay emphasizes is that this ecosystem is built on systemic, unspoken trust. When you're driving that car at 60 miles an hour, you are exhibiting this absolute faith that the oncoming driver is going to stay in their lane.
Which is terrifying when you actually think about it.
It really is. You're trusting that the traffic lights, which were coded by software engineers you will never meet, are communicating perfectly with the municipal grid.
Managed by technicians whose names you don't even know. We just go about our day assuming the lights will turn green, the grocery store will have bread, and the AC will blow cold air.
Without a second thought.
But to truly prove just how impossibly complex this multiplayer game is, we have to look at the ultimate historical example provided in the sources. This brings us to that 1958 essay, I, Pencil.
Oh, this is such a classic.
I have to admit, I completely geeked out over the anatomy of this supply chain.
It really is a staggering realization when you break it down. The premise is actually told from the perspective of the pencil itself.
Yeah, the pencil is the narrator.
Right. And it states flatly that no single person on Earth possesses the knowledge to create it.
Which sounds crazy until you look at the ingredients. It is a massive global journey. You start with the wood. It's cedar, grown in Northern California and Oregon.
But it doesn't stay there.
No, it gets shipped and milled in San Leandro. Then you need the lead, which, isn't lead at all.
Right, it's graphite.
Exactly, it's graphite. And to get that, miners had to extract it all the way in Sri Lanka, or Ceylon, as it was called back in the 50s. Then that graphite is shipped to the U.S. and mixed with a very specific clay from Mississippi.
Which, by the way, requires its own massive infrastructure just to mine, refine, and transport that clay.
Oh, absolutely. And we are just getting started. To make the graphite write smoothly, it has to be treated with candelilla wax.
Which comes from Mexico.
Right. And you want the pencil to be that classic school bus yellow. That lacquer involves farmers growing castor beans to extract castor oil.
Castor beans just for the yellow paint.
Just for the paint. Then the little metal band at the top, the ferrule, that's brass, which means someone had to mine zinc and copper, smelt them, and shape them. And then there is the eraser, or as the pencil industry rather inelegantly calls it, the plug.
The plug. Honestly, the eraser might be the most complex part of the entire object.
Oh, it's wild. It doesn't even use rubber for the actual erasing. The erasing is done by an ingredient called factus.
Factus.
Yeah, factus. It's created by reacting rapeseed oil from Indonesia with sulfur chloride. The classic pink color comes from cadmium sulfide. And the abrasive texture that actually rubs away the graphite, that comes from pumice brought in from Italy.
Pumice from Italy. For a pencil erasure.
All of that global coordination, all of those ships and trains and factories, just to make a little yellow stick that you can buy for a few pennies.
What's fascinating here is the mechanism behind how this happens. Reed's essay argues that millions of human beings cooperated to make this single pencil, yet there was no single mastermind dictating their actions from a central office.
Nobody was in charge of the whole thing.
Exactly. The logger in Oregon and the graphite miner in Sri Lanka, they aren't working together because they share some deep passion for office supplies.
Right. Some of the people in this supply chain probably don't even use pencils.
Probably not. They're doing it because they want to exchange their tiny, hyper-specific bit of know-how for the goods and services they need in their own lives.
They just want to feed their families. Or buy a car with air conditioning. It is the ultimate manifestation of Adam Smith's invisible hand.
Precisely. The pricing mechanism quietly coordinates everyone.
Like, if there's a shortage of Indonesian rapeseed oil, the price goes up. That signals suppliers to produce more or buyers to find alternatives, all without anyone having to send out a global memo.
Which leads directly into the political and economic philosophy that's driving the essay. The authors, including Milton Friedman and Lawrence W. Reed, who wrote the modern forewords, they use this pencil to mount a sweeping defense of free markets.
And we should note here, we are just exploring the author's perspective. They make some strong political arguments.
Very strong. Their core argument is that because human knowledge is so vastly distributed across the globe, the idea that a central government could plan an entire economy is what the economist F.A. Hayek called the pretense of knowledge.
Yeah, they basically argue that if you can't even find one person on Earth who knows how to make a simple pencil, how could a committee of politicians possibly know how to manage agriculture, tech, healthcare, and manufacturing for millions of people?
That's their exact point. The text even points to the French Revolution and Maximilien Robespierre to really drive this home.
Oh, right, the omelet quote.
Yes, they cite Robespierre's chilling justification for the reign of terror in the 1790s. He basically said, one can't expect to make an omelet without breaking eggs.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's a very specific, strictly free market worldview. The author's perspective is that history is littered with coercive central planners who broke millions of eggs but never actually created the utopian omelet they promised.
And they compare the high costs of government monopolies, like certain nationalized mail systems, to the staggering, cheap, private delivery of oil from the Persian Gulf.
Exactly. We are, of course, just outlining their philosophical lens here.
Yeah.
But their ultimate conclusion is that human energies must be left completely uninhibited to naturally configure themselves into these highly productive patterns.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though. How does a 1958 treatise on free market economics and the manufacturing of office stationery connect to a modern lifestyle trend for young professionals?
Right. The FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early.
Yeah. How do we get from pencils to retiring at 35?
This is where the synthesizing essay bridges the gap beautifully. It reveals that true financial independence is simply about understanding and capturing a piece of this exact global ecosystem.
Okay, go on.
We often think of money as just paper, right? Or digits on a screen.
Right.
But in this framework, money is essentially a token of appreciation for the value you've provided to this synchronized network.
So when you teach a child, you receive tokens.
Yes, but the real leverage happens when you invest those tokens.
Oh, because when you invest your money into the stock market, say, by buying broad index funds, you aren't just locking cash in a vault. You are literally buying a fractional share in humanity's collective capability to synchronize, create wealth, and make those pencils.
You are funding the shipping logistics, the mining operations, the software development. You become a partial owner of the massively multiplayer co-op game.
Wow.
And because millions of people wake up every single day acting in their own self-interest to improve their lives, the overall value and efficiency of that global system continually grows.
But wait, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
If the entire miracle of the pencil relies on absolutely everyone working and contributing their tiny bit of know-how, isn't the FIRE movement fundamentally a contradiction?
How do you mean?
Well, if your goal is to achieve financial independence and retire early, aren't you actively trying to stop contributing to the system? Like, if everyone quits, doesn't the chain break?
It is a valid critique,
Hmm.
and it's one the sources address head-on. The misconception really lies in the word retire. Within the FIRE movement, retiring early isn't about dropping out of society to sit on a couch for 50 years. It's about shifting from forced labor, needing a corporate 9-to-5 job just to pay rent and survive, to discretionary labor.
So you're still doing stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once you are financially independent, you spend your time on personal projects, starting businesses, creating art, or doing work you actually love, regardless of whether it pays a living wage.
Ah, I see.
You are absolutely still contributing to the human experience. You are just doing it entirely on your own terms.
You're changing how you play the game, not logging off completely. You're reclaiming your autonomy.
Exactly.
Okay, so if investing is the mechanism we use to capture a piece of this global wealth, let's look at the mathematical blueprint the sources provide to actually buy that freedom, because the FIRE movement has boiled this down to an exact science.
They really have. And the entire philosophy hinges on a few core mathematical rules. The foundational one is the rule of 25.
Let's break down the mechanics of that for everyone. The rule of 25 says you need to calculate your exact annual living expenses, what it costs to fund your life for 1 year, and multiply that number by 25.
Right.
So if you live a relatively modest lifestyle and spend, say, $20,000 a year, you multiply that by 25, giving you $500,000. That $500,000 is your FIRE number. It is your target portfolio.
And that multiple of 25 isn't arbitrary at all. It inverses the second major principle, which is the 4% rule.
Okay, explain the 4% rule.
The theory here is that once your portfolio reaches your FIRE number, you can safely withdraw 4% of it every single year to pay for your life. Because the remaining 96% of your money is still invested in that massive value-creating global market, it continues to grow and compound.
But wait, what if the stock market crashes the year after I retire? It feels incredibly risky to rely on a fixed 4% withdrawal if my portfolio suddenly drops in value. Why 4%?
It's a great question. The 4% number comes from extensive historical stress tests of the stock market. Historically, the broad market grows by an average of 7 to 10% annually over long periods.
Okay.
However, because of inflation and the very real risk of market downturns, what economists call sequence of return risk, you can't just withdraw 7%. Taking out only 4% leaves a large enough buffer so that your portfolio continues to outpace inflation and can survive those inevitable recession years without running dry.
It's like planting an orchard. At first, you're just carrying buckets of water to keep the saplings alive. But eventually, the trees mature, they drop their own seeds, growing new trees, until the forest sustains itself and provides you with enough fruit every season without you ever lifting a shovel again.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
But of course, a $20,000 a year lifestyle isn't going to appeal to everyone.
Highly unlikely, which is why the FIRE community has fractured into several different highly customized paths, or flavors as they call them.
Flavors of FIRE.
Yeah. The most austere is lean FIRE. This is for extreme minimalists, individuals who want to reach their FIRE number as fast as humanly possible by slashing their expenses to the bone. They might live in tiny homes or move to areas with incredibly low costs of living.
So they prioritize time and absolute freedom over any form of luxury.
Exactly. Then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have fat FIRE.
Fat FIRE. I love that name.
It's very descriptive. This is for people who want to retire early but have absolutely zero interest in clipping coupons or skipping the avocado toast. They want to travel first class, dine out, and live in a beautiful house.
But the math there must be brutal.
Oh, it is. To achieve fat FIRE, your target number needs to be vastly higher, meaning you have to earn and invest incredibly large amounts of money during your working years.
Which brings us to the very popular middle ground, barista FIRE.
Yes, barista FIRE.
This is for people who recognize they need a substantial portfolio, but maybe don't want to grind away in a high-stress corporate job for 20 years to get there. Instead, you save up a robust nest egg, quit the toxic career, and take a low-stress part-time job like serving coffee as a barista.
It's a really pragmatic approach.
I love the strategy behind it. It gets you out of the house, it covers your basic groceries, and crucially, in places like the US, it often provides health insurance.
That is a huge factor.
Right. So that means your main investments get to stay untouched, growing in the background while your stress levels drop to zero. You have to ask yourself, which flavor are you? Are you trying to just get out of the rain with lean fire, buy the whole mansion with fat fire, or do you just want to hang out on the porch with barista fire?
It's a great way to frame it. But the guide is very quick to point out a sobering reality here. Doing the math and picking your flavor,
Yeah.
that's the easy part. The actual execution of financial independence is about 20% knowledge and 80% behavior.
Ah, the psychology of money. We have the blueprint, we have the historical data, and we have the index funds. So why do so many people fail to reach financial independence?
This raises such an important question, and the sources highlight several deep psychological traps that derail people. The first is something society actually conditions us to view as a virtue,
Which is?
the illusion of safety.
Mm.
People are inherently risk-averse, right? So they believe that hoarding cash in a standard checking account, or quite literally keeping it under a mattress, is the safest financial move they can make.
But we all know cash is a melting ice cube thanks to inflation.
Exactly.
The authors really hammer home that holding cash isn't just playing it safe, it is a guaranteed mathematically certain loss. Like if inflation is running at 5%, your $100 isn't safe. Next year, it only has the purchasing power of $95.
You are actively bleeding wealth every single day you stay entirely in cash. Cash is a guaranteed loss in an inflationary environment. You have to put your money to work in the market.
But when people do try to put their money to work, they run headfirst into the next two psychological traps.
Right. Instant gratification and FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Instant gratification is lethal. It's the desire to buy things you don't actually need with money you don't have to impress people you don't even like.
It's so common to...
The guide emphasizes the critical difference between an asset and a liability. An asset, like a broad market index fund, quietly puts money into your pocket over time. A liability, like financing a brand new luxury car, rips money out of your pocket the second you drive it off the lot.
But our brains crave the dopamine hit of the shiny car, not the invisible growth of the index fund.
Exactly. And then FOMO attacks our desire for shortcuts.
We see this constantly amplified by social media. People watch a stranger seemingly get rich overnight on a highly speculative asset like a volatile cryptocurrency or a meme stock, and they blindly throw their life savings at it without understanding the underlying mechanics.
Just hoping for a lottery win.
Pretty much. The guide acknowledges that speculative assets can have a small place in a modern portfolio, but blindly chasing the fastest route to wealth is almost always a trap.
So how do we outsmart our own psychology? Because our brains are clearly working against us here.
They are. The text gives us a very clear defensive action plan. First, before you invest a single dime into the stock market to capture that global wealth, you must build an emergency fund.
Okay, how much?
You need 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses saved in a completely separate, accessible account. Because if your car breaks down or you lose your job during a market recession, you do not want to be forced to sell your investments at a loss just to pay rent.
That makes sense. Step 2.
The second step is to stop the bleeding. You must clear bad, high-interest debt. Credit card debt is basically financial quicksand.
Oh, it's the worst.
No reasonable, safe investment is going to consistently give you a higher return than the 20% or 25% interest rate a credit card company is charging you. You just have to eliminate it.
Step 3 is actually my favorite because it acknowledges that we are flawed humans. Automate your investments. Take the human error completely out of the equation.
Yes, automation is key.
You set your banking app to automatically transfer a percentage of your paycheck straight to your brokerage account the very morning you get paid. If you never see the money sitting in your checking account, you won't be tempted to spend it on liabilities.
Out of sight, out of mind. And finally, utilize diversification. Do not put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
The goal is to capture the broad growth of human cooperation, which means spreading your investments across different areas. ETFs, which act as baskets holding hundreds or thousands of stocks, safe bonds, real estate. If one sector of the global economy struggles, the others keep your portfolio anchored.
And if you lock in these behaviors and avoid the traps, you get to take advantage of the most powerful force in finance. The text brings in Albert Einstein, who supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world.
It is the snowball effect, but on a massive scale. When you invest, your initial money earns a return. But in the second year, Your returns earn their own returns.
Right.
The growth curve starts flat, but over a period of 10, 15, or 20 years, it goes exponential. A modest monthly contribution snowballs into a massive fortune simply because you allowed time to do the heavy lifting.
So, what does this all mean? We started this journey looking at the mind-boggling global synchronization required to manufacture a single, commonplace wooden pencil. Millions of people speaking different languages, living in different countries, coordinating seamlessly without a mastermind just to create value.
And we learned that the stock market, beneath all the ticker symbols and the jargon, is fundamentally a reflection of that incredible human cooperation. When you invest, you are purchasing a stake in that synchronized effort.
By using tools like the Rule of 25 to find your fire number, deciding whether you belong in the lean, fat, or barista camp, and aggressively avoiding the psychological traps of inflation and instant gratification, you can harness Adam Smith's invisible hand to literally buy your own freedom.
Because that is the ultimate takeaway from all our sources today. Freedom is the ultimate currency.
Yes.
The goal of financial independence isn't just to accumulate a high score on a bank account. Money is merely a tool. It buys you choices. It grants you the absolute power to say no to a toxic boss, no to a soul-crushing commute, and yes to living life entirely on your own terms.
We've seen how millions of people working out of their own self-interest create the everyday miracles around us, from the perfectly chilled AC in your car to the yellow pencil sitting on your desk, and how you can invest in that massive network to eventually buy back your time. But it begs a fascinating question, something for you to chew on as you go about the rest of your day.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if everyone in the world successfully mastered the FIRE movement, optimized their investments, and retired in their 30s to hang out on their barista fire porches, who would be left to make the pencils? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, stay curious, and we will catch you next time.